For one summer in 1987, a single California beach town and a gang of platinum-haired vampires made the whole country afraid of the dark. But what happened to the people behind those faces? The arrests, the bankruptcies, the rooms no one knew they were dying in, is a stranger story than anything on that screen. 38 years later, some of them are gone. Hidden addictions and courtroom battles, a fortune built on a vampire set, a voice that narrated its own ending, and the one who was arrested just weeks ago, at 59, still playing the same character he played in that film. This is where they all went. That platinum hair, that leather jacket, that half smile from the top of the bridge that made an entire generation nervous about Santa Cruz. Kiefer Sutherland was 20 years old when he played David. He didn't just play a vampire. He invented a template. Every brooding, dangerous, undead figure that came after owes something to that mullet he accidentally created when he convinced the on-set stylist to cut the top short on day 2 against Joel Schumacher's direct instructions. He went on to become Jack Bauer, Emmy winner, Hollywood Walk of Fame, the son of Donald Sutherland, who died in June of 2024 at age 88. But here is what the reruns don't tell you. 4 DUIs since 1989. 48 days in a Glendale jail cell in 2007, while 24 was airing while he was saving the country every week on television. In 2009, he headbutted a fashion designer at a Metropolitan Museum fundraiser. And on January 12th, 2026, 59 years old, he was arrested again. A rideshare driver, criminal threats, $50,000 bail. He once said the only bad things that ever happened to him were because he liked to go to bars and have drinks with his friends. Kiefer Sutherland played the one character in this film who could not be stopped, could not be controlled, and answered to no one. 38 years later, he is still, somehow, that character. March 10th, 2010, 2:15 in the morning. A mother called 911 from an apartment in Burbank because her son had gone to his knees in the bedroom and stopped responding. That son was Corey Haim. He was 38 years old. He came from Toronto, a shy kid who wanted to play hockey, who only started acting because his older sister went to an audition, and he followed. By 15, he was one of the most recognizable teenagers in America. Sam Emerson. The comic books on the wall. The little brother who never got touched by the darkness around him. The darkness found him anyway. He started using during license to drive. By the 90s, the rolls dried up. He declared bankruptcy. He sold a tooth on eBay for $150 before the platform took it down for violating their policy on human body parts. In his final years, a neighbor remembered seeing him wander the apartment complex late at night, looking for companionship, looking for friends. In 2010, he was trying again. He had requested a clean set on his last film. He showed up on his days off because he wanted to be there. The city of Toronto covered his funeral costs. Corey Feldman couldn't afford the plane ticket. He was a shy kid from Toronto who just wanted to play hockey. Hollywood found him first. The Goonies, Stand By Me, The Lost Boys. 7 films with Corey Haim. A reality show, a documentary he funded himself. Decades of interviews, press conferences, and congressional testimony, all saying the same thing. Hollywood was hurting its children, and no one was listening. Corey Feldman has been saying it since 1993, when he walked into a police station and gave them names. They buried the report. He started acting at age 3 in a McDonald's commercial. By the time he was on set for The Lost Boys at 15, he was already working to survive. His parents, he later said, treated his income as theirs. Schumacher fired him mid-shoot for cocaine use, then rehired him when he realized no adult was on set to protect him. In 2020, he self-financed a documentary naming his abusers. He charged $20 per ticket for the premiere. The website crashed. People thought it was a scam. In 2025, he competed on Dancing with the Stars. He was eliminated after 2 episodes. His divorce papers, filed that same year, showed $34,000 in his bank account. His primary income: fan convention appearances. In October of 2024, he admitted the real reason he didn't attend Corey Haim's funeral in 2010. He couldn't afford the flight. He has been the loudest voice in the room for 30 years. The room still hasn't changed. The richest actress in Hollywood history, with a combined net worth of $12 billion, played the girl with no name, no money, and no future in The Lost Boys. Her name is Jami Gertz. She grew up in a working-class family in Glenview, Illinois. Norman Lear discovered her at 16 in a nationwide talent search. By the time she landed on The Lost Boys set in 1986, she was already the primary breadwinner of her household. On that same set, she met a banker named Tony Ressler. He worked at Drexel Burnham Lambert. 1 year after their wedding, his firm collapsed in one of the largest financial scandals in Wall Street history. She paid for their first house. She paid for their first vacation. He started over. Tony Ressler co-founded Apollo Global Management in 1990, then Ares Management in 1997. Today, Ares alone manages over $600 billion in assets. In 2015, they bought the Atlanta Hawks for $850 million. In April of 2026, a wing of the Los Angeles County Museum of Art was named after them, the result of a $50 million donation. Jami Gertz played Star, a girl trapped with nothing, waiting for someone to save her. She didn't wait. Every frame of The Lost Boys was a decision he made. The platinum hair, the fog on the bridge, the way David looked at Michael like he was offering something more than immortality. Joel Schumacher put all of that there, and he knew exactly what he was doing. He was born in New York in 1939. His father died when he was 4. He started drinking at 9, smoking at 10. The street, he once said, was his education. He studied design at Parsons, decorated Henri Bendel's windows, worked with Halston. Then he taught himself filmmaking. His first feature, he later admitted, was so bad he considered moving to Australia. He didn't. He made St. Elmo's Fire, then The Lost Boys, then Falling Down, then 2 Batman films that between them grossed $500 million, and one that nearly ended his career. In 2017, he apologized for Batman and Robin. After that film, he said, "I was scum. It was like I had murdered a baby." He took full responsibility. No one else was blamed. He was openly gay his entire career. In Hollywood, in the 1980s, when that still cost you something. He died on June 22, 2020, of cancer at age 80. When Corey Feldman heard the news, he said Schumacher had sensed deep pain in him on set and never looked away. That is what the nipples on the batsuit don't tell you about this man. His grandfather was Jackie Gleason. His father was Jason Miller, Pulitzer Prize, Tony Award, Father Karras in The Exorcist. He changed his last name before his first audition so no one would hand him anything. Jason Patrick. Michael Emerson, 20 years old, the reluctant vampire who looked so much like Jim Morrison that Oliver Stone considered him for the role before choosing Val Kilmer. After The Lost Boys, he worked steadily. Rush, Sleepers, Narc. He stayed out of the tabloids. He chose craft over celebrity, quietly, for decades. Then, in 2012, his relationship with Danielle Schreiber ended. They had a son together through in vitro fertilization, a boy named Gus. Her lawyers argued Patrick was a sperm donor, not a father. Under California law at the time, they were right. A judge barred him from seeing Gus entirely. Patrick lobbied the California legislature. He changed the law. In late 2014, he was legally recognized as Gus's father. In January of 2024, his younger brother Jordan, grandson of Jackie Gleason, father of one, was struck and killed by a New Jersey transit bus while crossing the street at 5 in the morning. Today, Jason Patric is 59 years old and raising Gus alone. He changed his name so no one would give him anything. Everything he has, he fought for. He was 10 years old, performing 8 shows a week on Broadway, living in what he later called a hellish double world. The stage lights on one side, something he couldn't name on the other. That boy was Alex Winter. He played Marco, the quietest vampire in David's gang, the one who never needed to speak to unsettle you. He was born in London to 2 dancers. His mother trained with Martha Graham. He grew up between continents, landed in New York, started acting before he understood what acting was. At 13, while still performing on Broadway, he was sexually abused by an older man he had met in that world. He didn't speak about it publicly until February of 2018, decades later, in a BBC interview. And when he did, he said he wasn't naming his abuser because the man was dead, and because his only purpose in telling the story was to help other kids. After The Lost Boys came Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. After Bill and Ted, he walked away. By 26, he was, in his own word, fried. He fired his agents and moved to London. Then he started making documentaries about Napster, about the dark web, about the Panama Papers, about child stars in Hollywood. His film Showbiz Kids aired on HBO in 2020. In 2026, he returned to Broadway, standing next to Keanu Reeves, his friend of nearly 40 years, in Waiting for Godot. 2 men who have known each other a very long time, playing 2 men waiting for something that may never come. 2 Academy Awards, both for Best Supporting Actress, both directed by the same man, Woody Allen. The actress who won them played Lucy Emerson, the only person in The Lost Boys who never saw the danger coming until it was already inside her house. Her name is Diane Wiest. She trained at the University of Maryland, spent years building her craft on New York stages before Hollywood noticed. She wanted to be a ballet dancer first. In 1987, the same year The Lost Boys came out, she stood on the Oscar stage and accepted her first Academy Award for Hannah and Her Sisters. Then she played a mother in a vampire film. Critics called it beneath her. She disagreed. She went on to win a second Oscar in 1995 for Bullets Over Broadway, a Golden Globe, 2 Emmy Awards, over 4 decades of work. In January of 2015, she told the New York Times she was about to be forced out of her apartment. She could not cover the rent. Hollywood, she said, had only ever offered her one thing after the Oscars: nice mom roles. She turned most of them down. The offers stopped coming. She is 78 years old in 2026. She has a role in Practical Magic 2, currently in post-production. She has not stopped working. 2 Oscars could not buy her the right to choose her own roles. She chose them anyway. On his first day in the recording studio, he collapsed on the floor. The director had no idea what had happened. They helped him up. He steadied himself and began to narrate. That man was Edward Herrmann. The project was Cancer, the Emperor of All Maladies, a 6-hour PBS documentary on the history of the disease. He was narrating it while dying of it. Grade 4 glioblastoma, the most lethal form of brain cancer in adults. He had played Max, the mild-mannered video store owner who turned out to be the most dangerous thing in Santa Carla. He played Franklin Roosevelt. He played Richard Gilmore, the father on Gilmore Girls, who did crossword puzzles with Kelly Bishop in the makeup room every Friday, who shared his knowledge of theater and film with a young Alexis Bledel between takes of the long dinner scenes. He was diagnosed on December 6th, 2013, after a seizure on a commuter train between New York City and his home in Salisbury, Connecticut. He had radiation, chemotherapy, steroids he hated because they affected his mind. He would rather have had his leg amputated, his daughter said, than his brain touched. He finished the narration. The documentary aired in March of 2015, 3 months after he died. On December 31st, 2014, in the ICU, his family made the decision to remove the respirator. His daughter put on an Annie Lennox song, Money Can't Buy It, one of his favorites. He had been seizing continuously. He opened his eyes, and he began to air drum. That was the last time they saw him be himself. If you watch The Lost Boys to the very end, past the credits, past the chaos, all the way to Grandpa settling into his armchair, you heard the last line of the film. One thing about living in Santa Carla I never could stomach: all the damn vampires. The man behind that line was Barnard Hughes. He was 71 years old when he delivered it. He was born in 1915 in Bedford Hills, New York, the son of Irish immigrants. He worked the docks in New York Harbor. He sold shoes at Macy's. A friend dared him to audition for a play. He went. His Broadway debut was in 1939, a production that closed after 4 performances. He kept going. He changed the spelling of his first name from Bernard to Barnard on the advice of a numerologist who told him it would help his career. It did. 61 years on Broadway, 8 decades of work, a Tony Award in 1978 for Daw, a play about an Irish father who haunts his son's memory after death. He married actress Helen Steenborg in 1950. They remained married for 56 years until the day he died. On June 1st, 2006, he stood at the Shubert Theater in New York and was photographed alongside 110 Tony Award winners. Glenn Close, Ralph Fiennes, Natasha Richardson among them. 5 days later, he was gone. He died 5 days before his 91st birthday. In a cast full of lives, the cameras couldn't stop following. Barnard Hughes simply lived his, all the way to the end. His character's name appears exactly once in The Lost Boys, in the end credits. No one in the film ever says it out loud. For the entire runtime, he is simply the vampire with the face that the camera cannot stop finding. That actor is Billy Wirth. He played Dwayne. He grew up on Park Avenue, New York, father a lawyer, mother an artist with Native American heritage. He was a track athlete at Brown University, held the school record in the high jump. A photographer named Bruce Weber spotted him on campus. Within a year, he was on the cover of GQ. The Lost Boys came next. Then War Party in 1989, a film about a young Blackfoot man that he took because of his mother's Native American roots. Then Body Snatchers, directed by Abel Ferrara. Then, in 2001, he wrote, directed, and produced MacArthur Park, a film about addiction and homelessness in Los Angeles. It premiered at Sundance. It received a Grand Jury Prize nomination. Almost no one saw it. He continued painting. His Polaroid artwork has been shown in galleries across California. He took small roles: Sex and the City, Charmed, CSI. He is 63 years old in 2026 and still working, quietly, outside the frame of anything Hollywood tracks. Dwayne never got a line in that film. Billy Wirth never stopped making things anyway. There is one person in this cast who never wanted to be an actor. He wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. He wore leg braces from age 7 to 9, spent years in and out of doctors' offices, and decided that was the career he would build. His mother suggested he'd do some commercials first, to save money for medical school. That detour never ended. That person is Jameson Newlander. He played Alan Frog. He was the youngest member of the main cast, 16 years old when The Lost Boys came out. He and Corey Feldman clicked immediately in their chemistry read. Joel Schumacher told him to model Alan after Chuck Norris. He did. After The Lost Boys came The Blob in 1988. Then the roles slowed. He wrote and directed a short film called Rooster that screened at the Hamptons International Film Festival. He wrote a play called Remember This that won an award at Actors Theater of Louisville. He returned as Alan Frog in both Lost Boys sequels in 2008 and 2010. He has 2 sons, Nathan, born in 2008, and Azzy, born in 2012. He has been married since 2002. In 2025, he was still submitting audition reels, not because he needs the income, but because he said he still loves the work. His primary job today is writing content for a health insurance company. 38 years after playing a vampire hunter in a movie about immortality, Jameson Newlander spends his days writing about medical coverage. He never made it to medical school. He got there anyway. That beach town in the film was never real. Santa Carla was a set. The boardwalk, the caves, the neon lights. But the people who stood in front of those lights were. What this cast shared was not a genre or a franchise. It was the gap, the distance between who the camera needed them to be and who they actually were when the lights went down. Some of them closed that gap with grace. Some never found the way across. Some are still trying. The camera always made them look like they would last forever. None of them did. Which member of this cast meant the most to you? And did their story surprise you? Thank you for watching Golden Star Moments. If you enjoy meaningful moments, inspiring stories, and unforgettable highlights, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest videos. Every subscription motivates us to continue creating and sharing even more quality content with you. We look forward to seeing you in our next amazing journey. Golden Star Moments, where every shining moment becomes a lasting memory.